John Wayne Glover was born on November 26, 1932 in Wolverhampton, England. From a young age, he was already in trouble. In England, he was convicted several times for theft and violence. He never really lived a stable life. In 1956, at the age of 24, he moved to Australia. He wanted to start fresh, but his criminal past followed him. Glover did many small jobs. He worked as a salesman, a pie seller, and even in hospitals. To the people around him, he looked like a normal, polite man. In 1968, Glover married Gay Glover, a nurse. They had 2 daughters together and lived in Sydney's North Shore. To outsiders, he looked like a family man with a wife and children. But deep inside, John carried anger, especially toward older women. He often argued with his mother and his mother-in-law. Psychologists later said this is where his hate came from. By the late 1980s, his dark side finally exploded. Between 1989 and 1990, when Glover was in his 50s, he became known as the Granny Killer. His victims were all elderly women, aged between 60 and 93 years old. He walked the streets of Sydney's North Shore, in areas like Mossman and Neutral Bay. He would see an elderly woman walking alone, smile at her, sometimes even talk kindly to her, and then suddenly, he would pull out his hammer and attack. With brutal blows to the head, he killed them. After that, he would steal their handbags, jewelry, or money. Glover tried to make the murders look like accidents. Sometimes he left the bodies in places where it looked like the women had fallen. But police soon noticed the pattern: elderly women, similar injuries, in the same area. Fear spread everywhere. Old women were too scared to even walk to the shops. So why did he kill? The reason was more than just money. Glover had cancer, he was unhappy in his marriage, and he carried a deep anger toward women who reminded him of his mother and mother-in-law. Killing was his way to release this rage. The nightmare ended in March 1990. Glover's last victim was Joan Sinclair, aged 60. Police caught him at her house. Finally, the Granny Killer was arrested. In court, John Wayne Glover confessed. He was sentenced to life in prison with no parole. That meant he would never leave jail. But in 2005, at the age of 72, Glover ended his own life inside his prison cell. John Wayne Glover lived as a husband, a father, and a neighbor. But behind closed doors, he was one of Australia's most terrifying serial killers. The man who preyed on the most innocent and vulnerable, elderly women.